also Zach's going to be joining you. Now, Zach's going to be talking about unveiling the crypto landscape of Africa, insights from Chainalysis Crypto Adoption Index. Let's hear it for Zach.
All right, thank you, everybody. Today we're going to speak about numbers, a lot of numbers. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Zakaria Ellaoui. I worked at Chainalysis. Was mentioned as the biggest blockchain company today. We provide you the right data for many different use cases, be it crypto monitoring, address screening, investigations, and many more. I've spent 10 years of my career in data analytics as I was an AI engineer, and it makes total sense actually to apply AI and analytics in the blockchain world. Who are we? We are Chainalysis. We have over thousands of customers all around the globe. It's a bit outdated here, but we are more than 80 countries today. And we have today in Cape Town the African team, me and Philip, who is here. I'm sure he's gonna chat with you later on. And we have been building trust for a while. Where did it say? Yeah, there you go. We've been building really trust in blockchain. Yep, in blockchain. We've been building trust for quite some time now. Actually, we started really working with public sector in our genesis back in 2014 with the Mongox case. And today, 99% of the cases involving scam, fraud, abuse, Ponzi scheme, and many more, usually will find our name in the headlines. Most recently, we see the seizure of plus $30 million in stolen funds from the Axie Infinity hack. Other notable one would be the shutdown of Welcome to Video, which is one of the prominent child abuse material website. We're very proud of that because we have a mission, we drive it, and we deliver on that. So let's talk about what we mean by crypto readiness, and then we'll get to the number about the crypto landscape really in Africa and what is happening based on research. So what do we mean by crypto readiness is really that ability to understand what is happening in the blockchain, having this ability to actually build capacity within your teams to be crypto literate and being able to ensure compliance, monitoring and investigation, and making simply sure to be able to navigate this tremendous amount of data in confidence. And you can obviously, whether if you're like in the crypto business, or maybe more like representing governments, having this ability to recognize what is an illicit, risky transactions in the crypto world. Few numbers, 44% of 2022 illicit activities stem from OFAC sanctions as addresses. We have more than $20 billion actually of scam and stolen funds and laundered in 2022. And today, 74% actually of public sector employees fear that their agency is not equipped enough to investigate the crime. And this is where our mission is important. Simply again on the mission again, blockchain data, as you know, is public. We know that. But it's quite difficult and very hard to read for a human being, right? All you see is a bunch of numbers and addresses and amounts. And what we try to do really is to take those addresses and those transactions, and through a kind of complex data analytics and algorithms that we apply on this data, we're able actually to cluster this data from the blockchain, and we put names on it. We map whatever is happening on the blockchain to real-world entities. For example, here you see a bunch of addresses. We know that they are controlled by the same entity. And then from there, we can actually name that entity, and we can even add a category on it. So we're able to say, well, for example, this is, let's say they were here Binance or Coinbase, or maybe it's stolen funds or a scam, and many more. And these are some of the categories we are able to share with you, right? We have regulated, completely legitimate services like exchanges and hosted wallets and ATMs, lending contracts, smart contracts, and we have obviously the suspicious one. Illicit actors, terrorist financing, child abuse, darknet market, maybe sometimes in some cases and in some jurisdictions, gambling, stolen funds and scams, and many more. So the value here really is, let's go, there you go. So the value here is providing the most reliable data with historical data. We can go back to the first transaction ever in the blockchain. And then we give you the real-time data with the products, whether it comes to monitoring, surveillance, or investigation. There you go. And also, I mean, when you work with us, actually you benefit from our network effect. It means that working with Chainalysis, you benefit from the data that our customers also are putting into the system. And that is really huge when it comes to compliance and investigation. And finally, you have access to industry experts. What we mean by that, we have more than 100 experts in terms of investigation with our team. Their main job is really to work with law enforcement, sometimes even with private sector, to make sure to maybe investigate some illicit funds, do some tracing on some transactions, and simply help as well educate some of the folks that want to build capacity in their organization. Now, let's talk about the numbers. This is my favorite part as I'm coming from data analytics. Well, similar to previous years, Sub-Saharan Africa has the smallest crypto economy of all regions, accounting for about 2.3% of global transaction volume received between July 2022 and June 2023. This data is coming from our research, and I mean, even if it's 2.3%, it's still about $117 billion that is actually on-chain value for Sub-Saharan Africa. Now, if you look at what is happening in the world, although Sub-Saharan Africa has consistently been one of the smallest, I would say, cryptocurrency market, the closer analysis really reveals that crypto has penetrated key populations. You see countries, for example, like Nigeria, where crypto has become part of their day-to-day lives. We see as well some countries like Kenya, Ghana, and South Africa. All these countries actually rank quite high in what we call our global crypto index that we share every year. If we look at, for example, Nigeria, they are quite high. They are about second. We have also Kenya, which is about 21, Ghana, 29, and we have South Africa for 31. And it's changing every year and it's growing, obviously, and we keep you updated with our free crypto report that we share on our websites every year. And by region, of course. So let's talk a little bit about the crypto. So the question is, how much crypto has been received by country in Sub-Saharan Africa? What is the ranking here? So it might be surprising, but what we have really is Nigeria is leading the way with over $50 billion, followed by South Africa and Kenya. And again, as I said, if you look at last year, it was South Africa. 2 years ago, I think it was also South Africa, and Nigeria is leading the way this year. So what are the drivers? How is this articulated from a data analytics perspective? So first of all, in no region at all is Bitcoin more dominant than Sub-Saharan Africa. It's the first cryptocurrency that makes the bigger share of transaction volume than in any other region, and you can see it in this graph. Sub-Saharan Africa, we have 9.3%, then followed by North America, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. You're from South Africa, so I'm not sure if you're surprised or you're quite, I would say, comfortable with this number, but this is what our research say, and I'm happy to talk about it later on. So what are the, I would say, African drivers for this crypto adoption? So let's look at some of the drivers. Well, first of all, we have a shift, really, to this digital gold, which is Bitcoin. And for many reasons. It could be an alternative store of value amidst the rising inflation and sometimes economic stability and some events that are happening in few countries. If we take the example of Ghana, and I believe that the inflation was about almost 30% in Ghana, which is quite a high number. And people are moving more and more to cryptocurrency as a mean to preserve savings and really attain that financial freedom. And despite the harsh economical reality, we see that still there is a crypto adoption. We see nations such as Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, witnessing really those grassroots adoptions of crypto despite those economic challenges. And finally, and this is really interesting, especially in Africa, is really this rise for stable coins. Even with Bitcoin's value that is a bit fluctuating, there is a growing trend towards stable coins for less volatility. Now, if we look at what is happening again in Africa, and Nigeria being the top crypto economy, actually, if you look at all the different countries in positive year-over-year growth in crypto transaction volume, Nigeria is number 3, just after Saudi Arabia, Vietnam, and right before Spain. So how can we explain that as well? I mean, obviously there is this Naira crash and economical instability, but ultimately we see the higher spikes around May and November 2022, and those were likely driven by maybe users seeking to trade on the volatility spurred by Terra Luna and FTX collapse respectively, as opposed to being really the local economic situation. So, a few numbers, and I like this picture really, because you see people actually turning from the cash system or the traditional finance system and going more and more into crypto. So Nigeria's crypto economy growing, showing 9% increase in crypto transaction volume year over year, ranking 3rd among the top 6 countries globally. Despite the major crises, instability, recessions, the adoption is still there. And finally, we have seen that even though with high inflation and cash shortage, this is pushing Nigerians more and more into cryptocurrency. Another trend we have seen as well, I mean, so far I've spoke about the fact that people are turning more and more into, I would say, cryptocurrency as a safe placement against inflation. But we see quite a lot, I would say, if interest in altcoin that have been growing across the region. So when there are some days actually where market tanks, we've seen this buying frenzy for especially like meme coins, like Dogecoins and Shiba. So it is always interesting actually to see that even in difficult situations, you see people that are trying to seek some investments in alternative coins. And this slide right here shows you actually the share of monthly cryptocurrency value sent by sub-Saharan Africa by asset type. So we have the stable coin in green, the altcoins in yellow, the Ethereum and BTC in the respectively red and blue. And you see that actually altcoins still have their share just after the stable coin. So it is also quite a big trend in sub-Saharan Africa. Last one I want to touch on is the regulation landscape. So there is one main message really here, is that South Africa really is leading the way in sub-Saharan Africa when it comes to regulatory development and framework, into one implementing a framework, a legal framework for crypto businesses, and also having its ability to license crypto businesses to be able to operate in the country. So, and this is actually really boosting locals to be able to trade crypto with local exchanges. And we see it with Luno, with Valor, and others. And actually, if you look at fintechs in sub-Saharan Africa, they are moving actually to South Africa to be operating here. So the more we regulated, the more business opportunities we are facing, because then we are working closely with the regulator, making sure everything is streamlined and safe, also protecting the customers and consumers from all the scams and the Ponzi schemes that are happening especially during the bull markets. We see as well some promising moves as well from Kenya and Nigeria that are actually advancing really in the crypto space. We see it with CBDC initiatives in Nigeria with the eNaira. Even though it's a private blockchain, we see it in Kenya that are trying to make some moves really on the crypto landscape. and regulation. So this ability to be able to, to foster the legal frameworks, help the customers and the crypto businesses to foster that confidence to build businesses in the country and drive the crypto adoption. Finally, another example as well that I want to speak about is Mauritius. They have enacted this Virtual Assets and Initial Token Offering Service Act. Again, we speak a lot to them, and there is this need actually to protect the consumers from all, I would say, the downside of crypto. And you know that at less than 1% of what is happening in the crypto today is actually related to illicit activity. So all the rest is still completely legitimate. And with this regulation, it is bringing both safety for consumers and confidence for crypto businesses. Finally, I want to speak about the next workshop that we are having, 12/25. It's going to be about a 2-hour workshop. So this is more like an introduction about the numbers and what is happening in Sub-Saharan Africa from our research. I encourage you actually to go and download our crypto report. Later on, we're going to actually show you some of our products. If you're a crypto business, you'll be interested in the ability to monitor crypto transaction, screen addresses, detect, let's say, risky profiles and users that you have in your platform. And we will also show how you can investigate crypto addresses and build that tracing that allow you to understand the story from A to Z. With that, I want to thank you for your attention, and please feel free to reach out later on, and happy to chat with you. Thank you very much.
I wanted to ask, how are you able to tell the region the data is coming from? Do you use centralized exchanges, or with just the addresses and the numbers and the codes? How are you able to tell this is from this country, this African region, and the likes?
Okay, so the question is related to our methodology to be able to...
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it's quite lengthy, but I will just say you can check the full methodology on the report. You know, at the end you have the full methodology, but we use different techniques. As I said, we have more than hundreds of investigators in our company, but we use different techniques. We have web traffic. We look at, the services that we know are within some countries. Other techniques that I'm not necessarily able to talk about now. That's why I'm telling you, please check our report, download it, and you'll find the full methodology on it. All right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting. Thank you.
Pleasure. Let's hear it for Zach. Thank you very much.